Yo, what's good, you guys? My Mark 7 GTI has been tuned with Unitronic for, I want to say, about 10 months now, and it has been through a lot. So I feel like I can provide a pretty decent long-term review about it. Not that long. I mean, it's kind of long. I mean, 10 months, however you want to interpret that as long-term or not. And also, I wanted to go over some points where I've seen a lot of people, and I mean a lot of people, ask the same questions about, like, should I get a DSG too?
How would this affect my warranty?
And that type of stuff generally applies to all the other tunes for the Mark 7 as well, not just Unitronic. Just to give you guys a heads up, this video won't be anything like super visual or anything like super fancy. I try to include as many B-roll clips of whatever I'm talking about as I can, but for the most part, it'll probably just be me in this talking head scenario. So you can just listen to it like a podcast. Play it in your newly bought Mark 7 that you just got from the dealership, and right now you're on the way to go get it tuned with 100 miles on the odometer. First, let me tell you about some background information about me and the Mark 7, kind of like my goals and intentions with the car, so you can see where my perspective and my 2 cents is coming from. Here's my current mods as of date of filming and probably as of date of upload, so pause the screen or something to read it. So for me, my number one priority was reliability, but at the same time I also wanted something that was faster than most, if not all, of its cars in its class when it's full bolt-on modded. So I'm not trying to compete with people with like crazy aftermarket big turbo setups, rotary swapped Mustangs, front wheel drive converted STIs, nothing crazy of that nature. Just simple full bolt-on cars in its class like Civic SIs, Focus STs, STIs with like a ECU tune and like a downpipe or something. At the moment, I don't track it, I don't drag it. I want to in the future, but at the moment, no. And I'm not one to chase like dyno numbers and try to squeeze every ounce of horsepower I can out of the engine. If I take out my radio, I get 3 more horsepower. No, that's not me. I don't care. I just want something that's reliable and fast when it needs to be. Yes, I do go to Mexico here and there. Not as often as I like, but I do go, so it's not just me with a stage 2 sitting in traffic. So let's finally get to it. The first part I'm gonna cover is, should you like the smash button? The short and long answer is yes, because if you don't, you're getting TD2 flagged right now. Not TD1 flag, but TD2 flag, but the dealership won't even change your oil. I'm just kidding about the likes, because I don't care about that, but you are getting flagged. So let's talk about the tune itself. I've been through every possible Unitronic stage on my IS-20 Stage 1 Plus, Stage 2 with the pops and bangs, without the Overrun pops and bangs, Stage 0, stock stage. Now back to stage 2. Yo, if the dealership ever plugs in their VCDS and checks my ECU, they're gonna be like, how the hell is this dude's ECU been flashed like 30 times? So for stage 1 on the Mark 7s, we do not need any additional hardware. No intake, no downpipe, no exhaust, nothing. You literally can just go from right after you bought your car right to the tuner, and they'll flash you to stage 1. And this applies to every other stage 1 for the MQB Mark 7s as well, not just Unitronic. The difference between Unitronic stage 1 and stage 1 Plus is the octane used. Stage 1 regular is for people that don't have access to 93 octane and it runs on 91 octane. So who I assume are people in the West Coast. What a bunch of dweebs. And stage 1 Plus is for people that have access to 93 octane. The difference in power is marginal, but it just depends on what you have access to. For stage 2, the MQBs only need a downpipe, and also that applies to all the other tunes as well, not just Unitronic. It's recommended you get, you know, an intercooler, cold air intake, and some turbo inlet pipes, but not absolutely necessary. The only absolute requirement is a downpipe, catless or catted. So for the tune itself, I'm definitely very super mucho gusto, very happy with. Throughout the whole 10 months I've had the tune, I've had no problems with it. All my problems were relating to something else and nothing tune related, nor engine, nor transmission related. I basically set it and forget it, and that's also something I should have mentioned before. I enjoy having the convenience of things that are just set it and forget it. I don't want to keep going over and readjusting the logs or sending vlogs to tuners and getting, you know, mapped out and changed here and there. If I turn off my AC at exactly 3,200 RPM, I get 10 more horsepower. And that also applies to all the other on-the-shelf tunes as well. You know, APR, Cobb, and some other company I'm blanking out right now. All those on-the-shelf tunes are set it and forget it as well, because it works with a giant net cast of vehicles, if not all the vehicles of the same model and engine specs. The downside of something like that is just it's a general tune for your vehicle. It's not like specifically spec'd out for your vehicle, so it's kind of like a glove that's like one size fits all, rather than, you know, your specific medium or large glove. Like, it'll work, but it's not specific to your vehicle. So you're not getting like the most power out of your engine, but it's still faster than stock, and it works for someone like me, and I want to say maybe 50% of the people that are trying to get tuned, that is just want something that's faster than stock, but not necessarily down to the micrometer nanosecond faster. But obviously, if you want something specific to your vehicle that squeezes the most power in your given conditions, then you would go with a custom tune, and you know, that gets, you gotta log it and then dyno it and then log it again to get it spec'd out. The plus side is that, you know, it's, you get the most power and exactly what your needs are, but for the most part, someone like me, set it and forget it. I'm cool with that. And regarding Unitronic specifically, it's been said that their tunes are more conservative and it's not as fast as all the other on-the-shelf tunes out there. Still faster than Cobb though. And in part, that's due to them trying to be more reliable with the tune, and to make that tune power, they're more using ignition timing than just cranking up the PSI and the turbo. But at the same time, I'm not trying to say all the other tunes aren't reliable. I'm just saying I trust the reliability with Unitronic. If it means giving up like maybe 20 or 10 horsepower on the dyno sheets to be more reliable, I'm all for it. But maybe you're not and you just want to go 40 psi in your IS-20, so that's a personal preference thing. I also had JB4 for a pretty long time before I even got my car tuned, and how it compares to that. I mean, the tune is obviously faster, but then again, with my JB4 I wasn't using like custom map 6 where I was refining every single gear and boost and setting data logs and stuff like that. I just set it to map 2, which was the more aggressive map, and just set it and forget it basically. But to me, the Unitronic tune feels more full and complete, especially paired with the DSG tune, because with JB4 you don't need a DSG tune, you just plug it and play it. And it wasn't like remapping your ECU or anything like that, it was just more of a piggybacking onto your stock one and kind of tricking the ECU to give you more power, which I'm not saying is a bad thing or anything negative about it. There's definitely a time and place for that. For example, you're not going to get flagged for TD1, there's no remapping your ECU, so you won't get like a flash counter or anything of that nature, so you're like officially still keep your warranty. But to me, a tune just feels more complete. That's the best way I can describe it, because your ECU is now working with your TCU, and those things have been remapped to go together and synchronize. But that's just my opinion, you know. People even go tune and then they still stack a JB4 to get even more power, so you can do that. But me, I'm just on stage 2 right now. JB4 was sold and gone. And that's really my 2 cents on the tune itself. But now I kind of want to talk about the stage 2 Overrun with the pops and bangs specifically. So at the time when I was first getting tuned, I was already running a catalyst downpipe with my JB4. So when I got tuned, I just went straight from stage nothing to stage 2 with the Overrun pops and bangs, and it was straight up fire. But I think the pops and bangs broke my downpipe. Roll the famous clip. But keep in mind that it was never a great downpipe. The only thing ravaging about it was that the fitment was great, and I already was like the 3rd owner of it, so I think it went through its life cycle already and it had enough and just said the welds on it broke. But I never officially like found out or confirmed that the pops and bangs was what made it break. It could have just been that because it was old and not the best downpipe, it was gonna break anyways, with or without the pops and bangs. I've seen a lot of people ask if you can get it on stage 1. The answer is no. Pops and bangs only worked on stage 2 with an aftermarket downpipe. And that also applies to all the other on-the-shelf tunes that give you this Overrun pops and bangs file. With Unitronic's pops and bangs file, you actually can't turn it off. It's always officially on. But like APRs or EQTs, it only turns on if you're in sport mode. Why Unitronic did that, I don't know. They must have some good reason for why I can't turn it on and off. Whatever that reason is, I don't know. I never got like an official quote or email from them about it. So basically, it's always on if you flash your stage 2 with it on. To turn it off, you just have to reflash your car to stage 2 without it. Maybe they'll have some software update that will let us turn it on or off depending on if we're in sport mode or not. I don't know, maybe. Fingers crossed though. The pops and bangs are most aggressive when you bring it up to like 3,500 RPM and let off and just be super repetitive and loud. Unitronic did say that if you don't like that, then you just drive it in D mode and it'll be less. But for me, I think it was because I had a catalyst downpipe and a muffler delete that even in D regular mode, comfort, whatever you call it, that it was still kind of loud. It wasn't as repetitive and continuous popping as if I were to bring it up to 3,000 RPM and let off. But even when I let off at like 2,000, it would be like 1 or 2 boom boom. But I think that was because I had a muffler delete and a catalyst downpipe that even right after I co-started and I drove to like a stoplight and let off, that it would pop right away. Is it bad for the car? I don't know. I can't give you a straight answer. I've never read like an official report that the pops and bangs was officially a reason to cause engine or transmission failure, but there's like, you know, half and half rumors. Some say that it's bad for the intake manifold, some say it's bad for the cat, but then Unitronic says that they have the pops and bangs on their vehicles, and also multiple customers that have it on their vehicles for numerous years and for a long time, and there's nothing wrong with it. It's more like inconclusive. I don't think anybody's had the car long enough or had the pops and bangs on their car long enough for it to cause a problem that was directly linked to it. So I guess use at your own risk, but I will say that it uses a lot of gas, because the way that the pops and bangs happen is due to like extra fuel being dumped into your exhaust pipe, and then it pops off. So keep that in mind too. It does use a lot of gas. I currently don't have it on anymore. I'm on stage 2 without the pops and bangs, not because it's bad or anything like that, like I'm still catalyst downpipe, but because I'm kind of over it. Like before I had it, I was like, I need to get this to be a menace, but now it's like, I'm okay with being a sleeper stage 2, you know? Oh my god, but I have the file on my laptop anyway, so maybe it'll just be something that I'll turn on when I go to meets and just pop all the way, and then, you know, when it's back to daily driver mode, I'll turn it off. But I still just wish they gave us the option to turn it on or off if we're in sport mode or not. Maybe if we just bug them about it enough, or if this video gets enough traction, they'll finally just update their software. So start licking the smash button. Don't mind the whole outfit change, guys. I filmed this on 2 separate days because I got hungry halfway through filming the first part. Anyways, moving on. Now let's talk about the DSG. A question that I see pop up a lot is, do I need it to get the TCU tune? Short answer is, do you need it? No. Should you get it? Yes. Here's my simple explanation on why you should get it, even though technically you don't need it. And obviously this part is only for the DSG owner, so if you have like the boomer pedal, just fast forward this. I'm just kidding. If it helps my case, there are times when I wish I have a manual, but most of the time not really. So the stock TCU tune was made and engineered to work with our stock ECU tune for whatever 210 horsepower that we have stock. Because it's made with 210 horsepower in mind, I would assume it's most efficient and optimized to work with the stock tune, with things like gas mileage, shifting points, efficiency, engaging and disengaging, clamping pressures, and other little technical stuff I'm not too familiar with. The way I see it is like, if you have big ass feet and then you put on like a size 7, I mean, you're not gonna die. You can still wear them and walk around and run around, but something ain't right. You probably won't see or feel any immediate problems, and your car isn't just gonna blow up right away, but maybe in the little crevices deep down, something is getting messed up over time, and eventually it all comes out. I mean, you still don't have to get it. The choice is up to you, but I'm just saying, I don't think companies put in the time and R&D to come up with a TCU tune just for you to be fine with the stock one. And I would say that $700 extra now to get the DSG tune is way better than paying $4 grand later to get a whole new DSG unit. Like I said, the choice is yours, and remember, this is just my opinion. Hey guys, future editing Luke is here. I forgot to mention that for Unitronic, if you buy the DSG tune at the same time with your ECU tune, they actually take up $150. And before some of y'all say that's not even a lot, hey, it's better than nothing, alright? So you're actually paying $550 for the DSG tune rather than $700. Also, I'm not too sure if other companies offer this, I just know Unitronic does. So cheerio again. Carry on, mate. On to the warranty. I'm going to try to be brief with it. If you want a better explanation, I would say check out Humble Mechanics video. It does a great job explaining it if you want to look into this further. So based on what I know in my experience, it's not as bad as people make it out to be. It's not like you're forever exiled from a dealership that you're never allowed to set foot in one again. If you get flagged, it just means they won't cover parts that break if those parts broke because of your mods. They won't cover the cost of it, but if you want to pay, they'll gladly fix it for you. Like, let's say you have some coilovers on, they're not going to deny you to fix your backup camera because that just doesn't make sense. There's no direct correlation connection between those two things. They're still gonna fix all your recalls for free because that's the fucking law. I went to the dealership with a whole ass catalyst downpipe and a muffler delay, and they still fixed my water pump recall and my thermostat housing for free. I've heard people that are like full stage 2, full bolt-on, go to the dealership to get their thermostat housing fixed multiple times for free because those two things have no correlation, no connection. Downpipes, catbacks, tunes, and the thermostat housing makes no sense. There's no correlation. And the thermostat housing, I don't think it's even an official recall, it's just a known problem. But definitely keep in mind that every dealership is different. Of course, there's gonna be the really good dealerships that will go the distance for you and just double check everything, and then there are those that will say they're not gonna fix your radio because you put stickers on the car, and they're just total dicks about it. So depending on the dealership and the service manager there, it definitely plays a big role. So use the power of friendship and ice cold beer and hit up your local Facebook groups or whatever MQBs that get together and see which dealerships are mod friendly, which are total dicks, or maybe even drive further out than your local dealership. So make some friends, drink some beer, and we'll all be fine. So the last thing I want to talk about is the Unitronic Uniconnect cable. I'm going to say it right now, it's definitely not for everyone if you live in a state that doesn't have inspections or emission testing, or you don't ever plan to go back to stock or switch tunes. Then you probably don't need it. But for me, I actually needed it way more than I expected. I flashed my car about like 5 or 6 times by now, switching from like stage 1 to 2, 2 to 1, and then back to stock, and then back to 2. And let's say the tuner charges like 50 bucks for labor to flash. That's like about 300 bucks, and the cable, the retail of the cable is only 150. So I would say I got my money's worth. And since I still got access to it, I can flash to whatever I want to or might even need to in the future. It came in handy when I had my car's inspection, when I flashed from stage 1 to stock, got it inspected, and then back to stage 1. And then also when I was stage 2 and my downpipe unexpectedly broke on a Sunday, so I put back all my factory downpipe and I flashed it back to stage 1 plus. And I specifically said on a Sunday because most tuning shops are closed on Sundays, so I would have been asked out if I didn't have the cable. I mean, there's not much to say about it other than it's a cable and it's super handy. It does require a computer that runs on Windows though, so I mean, if you have like a Mac that runs on Boot Camp, that works too. At least that works for me. On my MacBook Pro, I'm running official licensed Windows Boot Camp, and that works fine. It also requires an internet connection, I think, because the cable needs to talk to the program, to talk to the servers at Unitronic to make sure that like your VINs and account and stuff line up, so you're not just like flashing all the Mark 7s on your block for free. And that more or less wraps up this video, this long review of the Unitronic, which was way longer than I expected. I hope this video has helped some of you, and if you still have questions after this, feel free to leave them in the comments below and I'll try my best to answer them, or somebody else can. I'm tired. Like, sub, catch you guys in the next one. I'm out.